gold dust, gold finger gold. It's what's been money for the last 5,000 years, and it has been a store of value ever since then. And all our gold here in the United States is supposed to be in good old Fort Knox. There's been countless movies made about this place, and apparently there's some anomalies when it comes to Fort Knox and the gold that's in there. So Elon Musk and the Doge team is back in the news. They are going to be auditing Fort Knox to see if all the gold is in fact there and is in fact reported correctly. So right now we're at about almost $3,000. We actually broke $3,000 earlier in December.
One would think that eventually someone in the government would get wind of what was happening and blow the whistle. The largest fortune in the history of the world stolen. Shades of the old James Bond film, Goldfinger. Well, as a matter of fact, Ian Fleming, the author of the James Bond series, was head of the British counterintelligence service, MI5.
Some believe in the intelligence community that he wrote much of his fiction as a warning, as many authors of fiction do.
If the removal of all the good delivery gold from Fort Knox can be viewed as a deliberate raid on the U.S. Treasury, then such an operation might well have been years in the making, namely 40 years. Certainly enough time for Fleming to get wind of it and try to prevent it.
So just how did the story of the Fort Knox gold robbery get out? It all started with an article in a New York periodical in 1974. The article charged that the Rockefeller family was manipulating the Federal Reserve to sell off Fort Knox gold at bargain basement prices to anonymous European speculators. 3 days later,
Wow, so they're selling off gold to anonymous speculators at bargain basement price.
anonymous source of the story, Louise Auchincloss Boyer, mysteriously fell to her death from the window of her 10th floor apartment in New York. How would Mrs. Boyer have known of the Rockefeller connection to the Fort Knox gold heist? She was the longtime secretary of Nelson Rockefeller. For the next 14 years, this man, Ed Durrell, a wealthy Ohio industrialist, devoted himself to a quest for the truth concerning the Fort Knox gold. He wrote thousands of letters to over 1,000 government and banking officials, trying to find out how much gold was really left and where the rest of it had gone.
Edith Roosevelt, the granddaughter of President Teddy Roosevelt, questioned the actions of the government in a March 1975 edition of the New Hampshire Sunday News.
Allegations of missing gold from our Fort Knox vaults are being widely discussed in European financial circles. But what is puzzling is that the administration is not hastening to demonstrate conclusively that there is no cause for concern over our gold treasure, if indeed it is in a position to do so.
Unfortunately, Ed Durrell never did accomplish his primary goal, a full audit of the gold reserves in Fort Knox. It's incredible that the world's greatest treasure has had little accounting or auditing. This gold belonged to the American people, not the Federal Reserve and their foreign owners. One thing is certain, the government could blow all of this speculation away in a few days with a well-publicized audit under the searing lights of media cameras. It has chosen not to do so.
So let me know what you guys think, what an audit for the Fort Knox will actually do to the price of gold. Do you guys think that the gold is all in there, or do you guys think that there's some shenanigans? Because this guy is saying that the Rockefellers had the gold sold for really cheap and they had people buy it for really cheap. So essentially the gold was stolen from the American people and the American people were never paid back.
One must conclude that they are afraid of the truth such an audit would reveal. What is the government so afraid of? Here's the answer. When President Ronald Reagan took office in 1981, his conservative friends urged him to study the feasibility of returning to a gold standard as the only way to curb government spending.
It sounded like a reasonable alternative. So President Reagan appointed a group of men called the Gold Commission to study the situation and report back to Congress. What Reagan's Gold Commission reported back to Congress in 1982 was the following shocking revelation concerning gold. The U.S. Treasury owned no gold at all. All the gold that was left in Fort Knox was now owned by the Federal Reserve, a group of private bankers, as collateral against the national debt. The truth of the matter is that never before has so much money been stolen from the hands of the general public and put into the hands of a small group of private investors, the money changers.
Wow. So if that guy's right, Elon Musk is going to walk into the Federal Reserve and it's going to look like this. Where'd all the gold go? Here's Glenn Beck weighing in on the gold.
And I've been following the comics. There's something going on with gold and nobody really knows what it is. Somebody here in the United States is buying a crap load of gold. We think, I hope, it's the Treasury or the central bank, the Fed. But somebody is taking huge physical deliveries, and it's causing shortages in London, where they buy and sell gold. There are shortages now of gold because somebody is buying it and shipping it here. Somebody with very deep pockets. Okay, so why? Now, this is all theory. That's fact. Here's the theory of what's going on. They're preparing for a full-on gold audit. We talked about this yesterday. The government right now claims on its balance sheet as an asset all of this gold, and it's valued at $45 an ounce. I haven't heard it's $2,900 an ounce. So they're talking now about boosting the price of gold, at least market to market, but maybe even making it $5,000 an ounce. Okay. If that happens, the balance sheet starts to fall into line and our debt to GDP is not as bad as it really is right now. Okay. Just start claiming the truth about gold and our balance sheet starts to come in.
And here's Donald Trump himself on Air Force One, letting everyone know what's up.
We're going to go into Fort Knox to make sure the gold is there. You know that? We're going to go into Fort Knox. Do you know about that? That was a bad bump.
that was a bad bump.
Are they going to eliminate more national security positions, civilians there?
We'll see what happens. But one of the things we do want to look, I mean, we hope everything's fine with Fort Knox, but we're going to go to Fort Knox, the fabled Fort Knox, to make sure the gold is there.
Where would the gold have gone? Right up.
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset. We're going to go into Fort Knox.
If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset. Yes, I would definitely be very upset as well. But honestly, I think Elon Musk and Trump are onto something. Why would they be going to all this trouble to see if the gold's actually there? But let's hear from the Treasury Secretary and what he has to say about this.
Potentially that could happen, and people are questioning it, is maybe remarking gold. Elon Musk, who's leading Doge, was talking about maybe going to Fort Knox to make sure those gold reserves are there. That comes under your purview. Do you have any plans to visit Kentucky?
I don't have any plans. I can tell you that we do an audit every year. I can tell the American people on camera right now that there was a report September 30th, 2024. All the gold is there. Any U.S. senator who wants to come and visit it can arrange a visit through our office.
Gold was your biggest holding when you were a hedge fund manager before you divested to become the Treasury Secretary. So you know the value of where gold is right now versus where it's marked on its balance sheet, just north of $40 an ounce. It's close to $3,000. Is it under consideration for this administration to revalue gold?
I think that somehow when we were talking about the sovereign wealth fund and I said monetize the balance sheet, I can promise you that's not what I had in mind.
Okay, according to this guy, it's all there. He says any senator can just go take a look, but not according to Rand Paul. He had a hard time just to see it. So anyway, that's where we're at. We still have to actually go there and take a look with Doge because they're our eyes and ears. We don't actually get to do anything as regular citizens, but Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Is the gold still there? What do you think about gold in the first place? Should we go back to a gold standard? How do you feel about the gold price being at $45? What's that all about? Can you please explain that to me? Why is it only valued at $45 when us regular people, if we want to buy an ounce of gold, it's almost $3,000? Why is that? Please let me know in the comments. I don't understand. Perhaps you do. And thanks for joining me. Peace.